Oh, hey.
Oh, holy cow, that's strong. That's way stronger than I thought it would be.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Brittany, for the very strong coffee.
Gee willikers. Dude, that was...
How you feeling?
I'm awake now.
You're awake? That's good. We need you awake for this episode.
What, you pick the topic. Go through. Pick. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I want to start with vampire tasks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I feel like
Tell
it
me.
is such a tried and true statement. It could not be more accurate. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, vampire tasks, blood-sucking tasks that are sometimes are and sometimes are not necessary, but they...
Mostly not, I feel like.
You know, it was interesting
Like
when I was reading the
80%
article.
Not necessary.
When I was reading the article, I can see how there are some tasks that are, I take it everything's recording.
Yeah, don't you get nervous every time?
I didn't press record on anything,
I
so
hit record on everything.
okay, that's on you then. All right, perfect.
I see red outlines.
All right, so vampire tasks. Reading the article, I was definitely understanding where the term comes from. You know, it's blood sucking, taking away your energy,
Yeah.
and most of the time unnecessary. Now, there are some admin tasks that, like, for example, I do that I know are just necessary. Like, they're just, and they are a little blood sucking. I mean, I take care
Like
of
what, Kevin?
I deal with a lot of emails, a lot of emails, more than anyone else on our team for obvious reasons. And I would say about 20% of the emails that I have to address fall under that vampire task category. Mm-hmm. They're blood sucking. They sap your energy. They take longer than they quote unquote should, but there's no real way to speed up the process. They just are what they are, right?
Yeah.
For example. And that's just the unfortunate reality of you know, having admin tasks. Sometimes they are critical. They're all critical in their own right. Obviously, maybe if you tear them off.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of tasks, just not even talking emails, but just a lot of tasks just in general that are vampire in nature and unnecessary. And I'm right there with you. So fun fact, ready for this bomb, which is hysterical. So you threw the vampire tasks onto this topic conversation, and I'm going to throw a bomb at you.
I feel like my Asana board's going to look crazy after this.
I am looking for an assistant.
Oh, really?
I am looking for an assistant.
Just use chat.
No. I'm looking for like a physical person to take tasks that are not worth my time anymore and to go accomplish those tasks for me. Chat cannot go and do returns at UPS. As much
That's
as
true.
Okay.
That's true. You're right. Okay.
Chat
I was
can-
really trying to call you out on something, but
Yep.
you nailed it.
Chat cannot do a pickup or drop off of gear rentals.
Mm-hmm.
Chat cannot be in physical spaces, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I am looking at starting next week. I'm going to actively be looking for some sort of assistant for me and the TSM team just as a whole. I essentially will get
Too bad your kids aren't a little bit older.
just a little bit older. I need them to be
Just
just
be at least 13, and then
Yeah.
you can put them to work.
oh yeah. So, but yeah, that assistant
Could take care of all those things. Yeah.
will be
Well,
handling.
to an extent.
They'll be handling a lot of those things. I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now. Like, I'm, for better or for worse, I mean, say what you want. I'm tired of making drop-offs at, again, UPS, returning something. I'm tired of being at the studio for a gear retrieval.
Yeah.
I'm tired of having to open up the bay doors and prep the 1-ton. These are all things that an assistant can do, or, you know, in our industry, a production
I feel like you
assistant,
almost had
right?
one for a little while.
We were close, but, you know, his skill set grew out of that relatively quick, and I understand
Someone who
that.
doesn't want to be a camera person who's just
You
an
know,
assistant.
and you know, an assistant could last 6 months. It could last 6 years. You don't know.
Yeah.
It all depends on who you get and where their skill set is and where their drive is for, you know, their career, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it all stems, like I said, it all stems from the vampire task that you brought up. It's funny that you say that.
Salary. I got someone. I got a wife. Yeah. The vampire task. Here's a tip. Whatever things you don't want to do, film yourself doing it so they have a direct reference on how would Kevin do this.
Yep.
And then you give that to them for their
That's a good point.
education, whatever. Vampire task. I mean, like for me, a vampire task is like when we create a workflow, which you talk about a lot.
Yep.
For like a type of job, it's like everything. If it's a brand new workflow, everything that goes in there is like that's the vampire sucking part for me. That's why I like to just use what's made and replicate. But when you make those things, it's like, or I guess even like an editor's perspective, like I would imagine maybe Ken or something making 1 billion subfolders to organize things. It's like it's a necessary evil, but it's something you have to do before you can ever even start the project.
Yep.
So for me, workflows, it's like building, you know, how is this going to function? What, or like we do like client calls where it's like, what's everything that you want to do? We have to know this in order for us to keep going. But it's like you do it so many times, you hear the same answers. You kind of already know what people are going to say, but it's like super necessary.
Yep.
But then there's the ones that aren't necessary, you know, which I feel like we've done a really great job this year of getting rid of a lot of those things. Where in the last episode, we talked about like managing time and managing what people are doing. That was difficult. But yeah, I mean, things like what you're saying, like opening up the doors just to let someone in to do a drop off. It's like that's preventing you from doing your necessary work.
Yep.
Buying like hard drives. Sorry, like for me, when I have to buy a hard drive and then spend hours filing things over, it's like for what?
Yep.
You know? Like, can I just have infinite cloud space?
Yeah. I mean, we just Ryan and I just ran into a situation where we needed to get Ken a hard drive like ASAP, ASAP, and it was like Ryan left. We had one drone flight left in the day. We didn't need both of us to go to that final location. So Ryan broke away from set, tail end of the day, everything's packed up. He went and mailed off the hard drive, made sure it got there the next day. But that would have been a perfect situation where 10 hours earlier, and that was at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30.
Yeah.
And it was like, we have to get to, he had to
lawn service people outside,
Yep.
everyone for audio listeners.
Ryan had to get there by 5:40, 5:45 to make sure it made it and got out the door, so that way Ken would have it the next day. Well, if we had an assistant at 9 a.m., I would have sent him to drive to Ken, spend half his day just driving, wait for the footage to transfer, and then drive back.
Yeah. But instead, you lose your main DP. And you're just doing your own footage. But
in that situation, what was annoying is the fact that we had to pay for the overnight component. We had to send him 2 hard drives because it had the stuff that he critically needed.
Yeah.
And then while we're at it, we might as well send him other stuff rather than doing a FTP transfer. So we at least maximized that component. But I sent him 2 hard drives.
Yeah.
And I just would have sent an assistant and been like, hey, bring this to Ken and just hang out on his couch because he works from home, right? And just hang out on his couch for 2 hours while it transfers, and then just bring the hard drives back. Okay, thanks. But yeah, time management, that's really what it all stems from. And that's where we're getting to. But yeah, these vampire tasks, they are, I set up a work mode on my phone that only allows like 5 people to come through on my phone while I'm at my desk, so that way I can stay as focused as I can, and anyone else either goes to voicemail or I don't even see the text message. And I have that set up at home for like a personal mode as well. And it's cutting down on these vampire tasks popping up because I'll get a text message from somebody being like, hey, can I get this one clip?
Yeah.
Or can I ask you this one really simple question? I will now look at those things during, lunch, call it, or right after lunch when I'm getting ready to get back into a main task, and I'll address all those smaller things one by one. Take me 30 minutes maybe, and I've just addressed 10 things in a row that are vampire in nature. But instead of it pulling me away at 10 different points in a day, I'm addressing them one time.
Yeah.
And just handling all 10 in a row.
Yeah.
And that is helping with my mental bandwidth. Because as it is, I mean, I get pulled in 50 directions in a day between 3 proposals that I have to send, 15 emails that are just coming in. I send an email, and if I send an email and that client is in front of their computer at that particular moment, they email me back seconds later. Yeah. And I'm like, crap, all right, let me just respond back to them now again because they're clearly in front of their computer. And that's wonderful because we can have 3, 4, 5 exchanges back to back to back, but that means I'm not doing something else. Right. So then when that exchange is done, I'm now hopping back onto that second proposal that I want to write up. Yeah. Oh, hey, I have an 11:30 call and it's 11:20. Well, I have to now finish what I'm doing either in the next 10 minutes or find a stopping point because I have a call coming up. So
go ahead.
No, that was it.
Even like I think about Florida cycling. I was like, I literally watch you get on like 5 different calls last week in like a day. 5 different calls in a day, and you're getting tons of information. And then you have to hop on the call with the partner in the business. And then I'm like watching you unload all that information. And then the partner's saying, you know, what's this? What's that? What's this? Love you, dude. But like, it's not your fault. You just don't know because all this stuff is going on. And that's when I was like, Kev, just record your calls. Like, just record your calls and drop the video. Robert, watch this. Like,
it's not
you want to know all the information? Watch this. Or record just the audio of your calls. Yep. Throw it in chat. Here's your prompt. Chat, bullet point every important topic that happened in this conversation. Copy, paste. It's on a Notion board. Robert, read this. Like, because then you get rid of it. Because that event, like for me, I've got 2 calls later today. I hate getting on calls. Just text me what you want. It's how I feel all the time. Like, I am the type of person to randomly call you and be like, if I need to know something right away, and get it as quick as possible. But like doing conference calls and client calls for me, I'm just like, you could tell me everything you need to tell me in a text message, almost guaranteed. Yep. Like, and obviously there's a little bit of fault to that because I know some people want to hear from you, they want to talk to you, all that sort of stuff. I'm just like, you could text me, bro. Yep. Like this call, you're gonna tell me a whole lot of nothing when there's one point that needs to be made. So like, you know, an hour and a half conference call for what?
And I do this for our team calls too, like what I did with Robert the other day. Like I set it for an hour knowing that we had a lot to talk about, but it was to block off as much time as possible on our calendar without being excessive. And yes, it was the last call of the day for us, so we went like an hour 15, I think. But imagine if I would have set that to a 90-minute call, we would have for sure used all 90 minutes.
Because the expectations are there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So now if clients send me calendar invites, I can't control that, right? But if I'm the one sending it, I'm always sending it under the perceived amount of time needed. Yeah. So if it's perceived to be an hour call, I'm sending a 45-minute. If it's 30, I'm sending a 20. Sometimes I get ambitious and send a 15, but that can be a little much.
I mean, look what I told you the other day. You came in the back, and I was sitting at the desk, and you're like, I just hear me out. I've got this call.
Yep.
Like, I just need to know if you have an idea that it's not hitting me right now. And I'm like, what's the call for? I don't know. He just wants to get on a call. Well, make him outline what he wants to talk about first.
And he did.
And then it was like, oh, this call's easy.
I mean, you hit it on that one. I was like, gosh darn, that is such a, and I just wasn't in the right mind frame more than anything.
You were on 4 other calls.
I literally was on 3 back to back. I had back-to-back calls, and and then when I finished, I had a missed call from our editor, so I called him back. So I had a 3rd impromptu call, so I was not in the right headspace.
But even like doing something like that, making someone tell you what they want to talk to you about will make your whole call go so much faster, so much smoother. And not knowing, a lot of that not knowing also makes you feel like you're wasting your day. Like you can get on 5 calls, and that's super productive. But at the end of the day, you're going to be like, I didn't do anything.
Yep.
You did, but you're going to feel like you didn't do anything. You know? Can we talk about Sora?
Let's do it.
I hope you're scared. I hope you're nervous about
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not.
I really do.
I wouldn't say I'm excited. I would say
Terrifying.
I am. I mean,
Horrified.
pooping myself a little bit is probably a little more accurate. Yeah. Seeing that footage was crazy. I mean, like,
Well, let's tell them what it is.
all right.
So anyone who doesn't know, if you're under a rock right now, Sora is what Dolly is to text to image generating. Sora is text to video generating. And the same clip that I think I sent you of Will Smith eating pasta back in the day. Did I send that to you?
It was like was that clip like 10 years ago, 7 years
It
ago?
was a year ago.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was a year ago?
It was like 18 months. Okay, so a year and a half. It was
All right, so-
18 months. Actually, that's the real number. It was 18 months ago.
No way.
Yes.
I believe you. I just don't want to believe you.
I know. So that's horrible. You look at that now and you're like, this is ridiculous. This is never going to work. Sora is incredible. Go.
Yeah. So the clip that I was seeing from the Gold Rush, like that was completely text to AI generated. That astronaut man with the red helmet.
Oh, dude.
There's another dozen that I'm
It was
failing
a
to
mammoth.
explain. Yeah, mammoth. You're right.
Oh my God, a mammoth. It's great.
I'm legit. I mean, like, I'm excited for the uses we can have now, but for our industry 2 years from now, I'm petrified.
Oh,
Like,
dude.
creating stock footage now will be outstanding. Like, anytime you have any sort of like corporate instructional video documentary where you just need to have like, you just need to insert like 3 stock clips, right? You know, oh, I see whatever. I see what we just finished talking about, Florida cycling. Like I see our main cyclist on a dirt road and he turns away and the sun is setting. It's like, oh, I just want to see a cricket on a leaf,
Yes.
just to signify that evening is upon us.
Yep.
Generating that cricket on a leaf in the right tone, in the right lighting environment, on the right leaf, right? Because, you want
It's
it
got to be Florida. It can't be like some, mountains in Mexico, a leaf, right?
snowing. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that usage
Yeah.
because that's going to connect so many dots visually within, whatever you're creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what it could do to our industry in 2-3 years,
What it will do to
what
our
it will do, or
timing is the only variable.
yeah, what it will do in 2, 3, 5 years, I'm not excited for. At least not excited right now. I mean, obviously, like, we have to adapt and update. But I mean, companies could make their own commercial without us. Like, not
So
overtly excited about that.
here's what I know is an issue right now, and this is something that is definitely going to get addressed. It's like, I do AI album art for artists all the time, right? So instead of like, I can't draw, I'm not an artist like that, I can't do whatever. So I'll go on AI image generating, whether it's Dolly or Midjourney and whatever it is, and I'll say, okay, this is what I need. Here's what the character looks like. Here's his features. Here's the background, whatever. But you can put the same exact prompt in every time, and you're always going to get a different version.
Correct.
So for videos, like, people are like, oh man, you can make a movie. You know how hard it's going to be to get that? You can only do up to a minute clip right now. You know how hard it's going to be every minute to get that same looking character? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Impossible
what we see
right
is
now.
one prompt right now.
Impossible right now.
I mean, for the past year, it hasn't been possible. So, yeah. Just to get the same. So I know that's one major issue right now. If you want to tell a story, right, you can't use the same person. If your story doesn't involve people that much, sure. The other thing, which is what filmmakers should be really afraid of, what it can do right now is it understands camera movement. It understands what is a steady cam, what is a gimbal. There's the differences in what those look like. It understands what 35 millimeter film is supposed to look like. It understands what pick an Alexa. It knows what it's supposed to look like because there's all the information out there and what the color grading, what the focus, like all whatever. I'm using bad examples, but it knows that stuff.
Yep.
That's what filmmakers need to be afraid of. It knows what a Pepsi logo is. Why is Pepsi going to hire anybody besides a prompt engineer who can do text to video and say, hey, I need a Pepsi can floating in space and being lasering down a Coca-Cola can from Earth? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a for a person to do that, that's, I don't know, probably $100,000 to get an animator to like really do that.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars.
You know how much a token costs? It's like half a penny to do a chat like prompt.
Yep.
So it's just like, bro, people are so screwed. Animators first, animators are screwed. Camera operators, once it can recreate things consistently for you, screwed. Like, all we can pray for is that you can feel the lack of human element and that it can't create something that some person hasn't created, right? Because it's basing everything off of something.
Correct.
We have to rely on the human's innate ability to create something we've never seen before. But if that AI creates something we've never seen before, crazy.
Yeah, the Mid-Journey loop, how at some point it kind of caught up to itself and it was spitting out a lot of really weird things, and it was essentially a reset that was needed.
Yeah.
We're going to see the same thing with Sora. Like, it's going to have some sort of loop effect, and at the loop point is when we could interject ourselves again.
Yeah.
And does that loop point happen a second or a third time? Like right now, Mid-Journey or they it hasn't had a second loop point.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Is it gonna?
It has to.
Says who? Says who?
If it's all based off of something, it has to get into a
yes,
loop.
but now so that loop point happened. God. That loop point happened at about 7 months, 6 months.
Yes.
So is it exponential? Is the next loop point at 6 years rather than 6 months? And then after that, does it go from 6 years to 60 years? So we could have a larger problem on our hand. It could because it could be exponential. We don't know, right?
Did you see, this is DALL-E, photo generation. Did you see when DALL-E essentially made an image of God?
No.
You didn't see this?
No.
Insane. This is like when it made something that is pretty much new. A prompt writer was saying, make me an image of a happy rabbit. It made an image of a happy rabbit.
Okay.
Make me an image of the happiest rabbit. And then DALL-E chimes in and says, okay, this is a showcase of the happiest rabbit, the happiest it can be. Make it even happier. Make it tranquil. Make it peaceful. And it kept going. And this rabbit kept looking less like a rabbit until it got to the point where it said, this is a divine creature unknown to any form anymore.
Okay.
And it created this like spatial, like hallucinogenic type looking thing that you can literally watch the progression of the rabbit in the prompts. And the way it defines it is almost like it's defining God. And everyone's like, wait a second. This is too much.
So
when video does that? Are you finding it? You're not finding it? I can find it for you.
I think I'm finding it.
We'll put a link in the description to it.
Religious art? Is that what?
Maybe. I was in a rabbit hole, no pun intended. And
no, I'm struggling to find it.
I'll find it for you later.
Okay.
And I'll put it in the description for the listeners. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding a few things, but none of them like scream correct. Like it's almost like variations of it, maybe.
Yeah.
That were just kind of popping up, but nothing screamed what you were just talking about. So interesting that it got to like this divine point.
Okay, well,
I think
so. This is one of the rabbits. I don't know if the.
Oh wow.
This isn't the end. This is like somewhere in the middle.
Whoa, that's trippy. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, I can see how it's divine in nature.
It's crazy.
So you think?
Here's another one. These are what the images were.
Wow,
I hope
that's a happy rabbit.
That's a happy rabbit.
Okay, so that's an interesting loop point. Okay.
I mean, the final image wasn't really something new. Like everyone's seen,
but it was
like these crazy things before.
We've all received it from chat.
Yeah, but it was to the point where like you're like, man, if this keeps going, what is it gonna make? You know?
just glow. It's just going to be
Just a white image,
white glow image.
It's just like not even an image anymore. It's too great to even be an image.
It's abstract in nature in all forms. That's funny.
But I don't know. Sora's scary.
It is. I'm excited for the immediate usages. I'm excited for how it could be integrated in, call it the next year, 18 months, maybe even 2 years. But what the future is going to bring is going to be very terrifying for our industry. We talk about it all the time. We gotta, it's adapt or die, right? So,
but what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, that's the point. That's the point of adaptation. Is you don't know what that adaptation is today. You figure out what that adaptation is later, and that's really what it comes down to. Is like just knowing that you do have to adapt, but what is that adaptation today? I don't know.
Because people freak out and they're like, "Oh, I have to learn how to write prompts now," and it's like you should have been doing that a year ago. But
exactly,
like, not everyone's going to be a prompt writer.
No, No, I mean, I was using chat this morning again for just another use. I mean, we were using it yesterday for my son's homework.
He's cheating already?
He's not cheating. There's no cheating that's occurring. He has to find certain words that are, because he's in first grade, like that are long A and short E words. And we just have chat prompt us, mom and dad, with a list of 25, so that way we can help him learn them a little better.
That's so funny.
But he's not cheating. He's saying the words, and we're double checking. Yeah, that is a short E word, because chat told us.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait till he gets in VR too.
Oh yeah, he'll be in it.
Last topic. This one's got to be like a pretty quick show. But did you also see? Speaking about Sora and everything, Sam Altman's request for money?
$7 trillion for all the chip companies? Or all the chips.
That's what he wants to do with it, yeah. $7 trillion.
He wants $7 trillion that he's ultimately going to buy all of the manufacturer.
That's the theory. He hasn't said it. I don't think he said it publicly. It's crazy.
The man is insane, but potentially in all the right ways. I don't know.
You read the article I sent you?
Yes, I did.
You saw what they were saying, that he was like...
The Silicon Valley is like completely on board with him, and they completely understand the validity behind his statements and why he wants to do it, and that it is a fair market value, like the assessment behind it.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It is. I just... How do you... Monopolies aren't legal, but they are legal, right?
They're not legal, but they happen, I think is what you mean.
And no one stops them.
Correct.
Right. So this is clearly, if he gets $7 trillion and buys every chip manufacturer, so they have to do everything.
All the patents,
to make it for OpenAI. There's nothing. What Midjourney competes with OpenAI, but Midjourney's like, to me, not that great. I don't love it. It doesn't do as much as everything that OpenAI can do. If he buys everything, who can compete?
No, I mean, that's the point. No one.
So
because if another company does find a way to open up, he then just swallows them whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
do you? You're not going to be able to use any manufacturers for your cloud storage space. You're not going to be able to use any technology to create whatever you want to do. It's just not going to exist for you. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I don't like the idea by any means. It's just crazy how this guy was completely unheard of. He was not a household name in any way, shape, or form, 2 years ago? People in the industry knew about him.
A year ago, even maybe.
Maybe a year ago. People I didn't know of who he was. It's like for just the normal folk.
Yeah.
We didn't know who Sam Altman was a year ago.
Probably didn't know about him until he got fired.
Fired. That's what I would think too.
That was 2 months ago, something like that. 3 months ago? That was super recent.
Was that recent? I had heard his name a few times before he got fired, and then he got fired, and then he blew up. Was it even that long ago?
It was December.
Jeez, that was 3 months ago from this. 4, whatever the math is. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Sam Altman for president. Let's go.
Oh my God! But no, $7 trillion. That's an absurd number. That's an amount that I don't think any of us could truly properly comprehend.
No.
I mean, the hundreds of billions that turns into 1 trillion. They were saying that the article was saying that if he buys all of those manufacturers, all the patents, all the warehouses, all the product that's currently out there, he still, with that 7 trillion, he still would have several trillion left over.
Yeah. To do what with? So Sora is so good. Throw $7 trillion at it.
Think about all the industries that would be swallowed whole in that acquisition. I mean, the filmmaking industry, the gaming industry, the computer industry, the chip making, the OpenAI components.
I mean, grocery stores? Like what?
Education.
You don't need anyone to check out anything anymore.
Education.
You been to Whole Foods recently?
No.
You can put your hand on the thing to pay now.
How?
You just put your hand on it.
Okay.
It takes your fingerprints and your palm prints.
No way.
And it's Amazon. And you just put your hand on to pay now. You don't need a person at all. It's biometric now.
Have you done it?
No. I'm not giving them my fingerprints.
Then what do you...
I watch people do it, and I was like, what are you doing?
No, that's not okay. I mean, like...
Yes, overlord.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm telling you, dude.
We all know that they have all of our... they have access to everything. Mm-hmm. But I mean... Hold firm, people. Don't give your biometrics. I don't know. That was just an interesting one. I don't have too much of a take on the Sam Altman. Just read that article today, but it is concerning that that's an option, and the monopoly element should not be allowed.
They're gonna let them do it though.
You think so? You think it's gonna happen?
I think so because there's nothing else like this that we're aware of. Maybe like some deep military thing has something like this, but as far as we're aware of, there's nothing like this. So they have to let him make this company as big as it could possibly be, because this would be world changing. And if he's in the U.S., they can't let this go somewhere else. You know what I mean? You can't have another company, overseas pick a place, build this. If you're our government, no way. So they're gonna let him. They have to let him. Right? I mean,
no, I don't think that's right at all. I don't think
it's right.
I don't think they have to. I think that leaders think they need to.
Yeah.
But they should not have to. They should not feel that urge to do so. I think the fact of the matter is OpenAI is growing at an exponential rate as it is, and there's no reason to kick it over the finish line when nothing's changing. I mean, we just got Sora just the other day. We got OpenAI a year ago. Midjourney. I mean, even just chat is doing text image prompts as of 4 months ago, 3 months ago. Nothing's stopping as it is. My point is, why are we going to allow an individual, a company, monopolize the whole industry when there is no end in sight currently? It's growing every month, every 6 months, every quarter. There's no reason to monopolize. It's going to continue to grow organically, and having an individual or a company own everything for an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a number that, like I said, none of us can truly comprehend. $7 trillion.
Well, the end in sight, they would argue, is that there is a lack of computer power, cloud space, storage, and they need chips for those things. So chips, and it all comes to an end if the capacity, because there's a capacity cap. Correct. If they hit that, then they can't advance it any further, which is why they are arguing that they need $7 trillion to expand the cap.
I'm okay if it hits a cap at some point. Personally, I'm okay if it hits a cap. I really am, because otherwise,
our world's gonna end. Otherwise,
we're gonna have a Terminator situation.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me right now that doesn't scream Terminator real life.
It already does. 80% of the workforce is becoming unnecessary, or at least not the workforce. 80% of tasks in every work environment is becoming unnecessary because chat can fulfill things.
Correct.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, and we're gonna end on a very somber but yet oddly,
I would use dismal.
but oddly engaging topic. So, all right, thanks
We're
for
not
that.
here next time.
All right. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Catch me in VR. I'll be off world.
All right, see you.